Happy Monday, and welcome to Audacity Presents. If you are watching me on YouTube, I'm like, let's go outside. It's been pretty good here in Texas, still hot, but we've had some cool mornings. So I'm like, I think I'm going to go outside. So if you hear cars passing by, it's because I'm outside. But welcome to Audacity Presents, where we choose to live an audacious life for Christ. I said that the other morning when I was walking, and I thought it's easy to say that when things are easy. We choose to live an audacious life for Christ. It's easy to live an audacious life for Christ when you're at church with other believers. It's easy. But what about at work? Is it easy to live an audacious life for Christ at work? What about in your home? What about in your neighborhood, in your hometown? People that have grown up around you, they knew who you used to be. Is it easy going back to your old neighborhood to live an audacious life for Christ? So it made me really think that although it kind of rolls off the tongue, welcome to Audacity Presents, where we choose to live an audacious life for Christ. It's easy for me to say sitting behind this camera, sitting behind the microphone, but out in the world, you do have to choose. You have to choose. And sometimes in your choosing, that means standing alone. That means being by yourself, going against the grain, going against the norm. So although it's not easy, I still choose to say, welcome to Audacity Presents, where we choose an audacious life for Christ each and every day. So the past couple of weeks, past few weeks, I have been talking about some well-known stories in the Bible and decided that I would go back and read those stories to see maybe what I've missed, or maybe it isn't that I missed it. Maybe this second time around, a third time around in reading the story, God has revealed something different as I go back and study these stories. So this week I'm looking in First Samuel at David and Goliath. And we all know about David defeating Goliath. That's in First Samuel, I think around chapter 17. Got a little tongue tied. Chapter 17, I think that's what it is, or 16, somewhere in there. But we've all heard the story of David, who was a little boy really at the time that defeated Goliath. Now, a lot of commentaries that I've read, they said that Goliath stood 9 feet tall. There were other commentaries that said he may have been around 6'9". Regardless, he was a giant compared to this little boy, David. So David had already been anointed to be the next king, but it wasn't his time to rise to the ranks yet. He was the son of Jesse. Jesse had 8 sons. I think 3 of the oldest sons were out fighting the battle with King Saul, and Jesse had sent David down to check on his brothers, see how the war was going. And David hears Goliath talking smack. That's what we're going to say. David hears Goliath talking smack and is like, really? I can take down that giant, right? So at first, Saul had put all of his gear on David, which was too big. He couldn't move or walk in it. David was like, we're not going to even do this. So as I'm reading through the story, and I don't know if anybody else has noticed it, but I'm reading through the story and it says that David picked up 5 smooth stones. 5 smooth stones. Why did the writer want us to know that he had picked up these 5 smooth stones? Now, I was reading through a commentary, and one of them said he had picked up 5 stones because the Goliath possibly had 4 other brothers. That if he killed Goliath, the other brothers was going to come. So he had a stone for each one of them. I know it sounds like an action movie, right? But that was just the thoughts of a commentary writer. But I thought about 5 smooth stones, and my focus was taken away from the fact that he had 5. And my focus was drawn to the fact that he only needed 1. Sometimes we think we need a lot when all we need is a little. Y'all think about that for a minute. Sometimes we think we need a lot when all we need is a little bit. David, you think David thought, let me take 5 just in case. I don't think David was thinking, as cocky as he was at the time. I don't think he was thinking, no, I'm gonna knock him out with 1. He was courageous, but I don't think he was that courageous. So he picked up 5. Did he pick up the other 4 just in case? I don't know, but regardless, he only needed 1. The other thing that I noticed this time around in reading this story is David, what made David angry? Can I use the word angry? What made him angry is that Goliath was disrespecting God. How many times have we been in the company of people that disrespect God, that use his name in vain? Do we take a stand? David was upset because Goliath had disrespected God. Another thing that I wrote down is never be afraid to face giants. Now, we may not ever face a physical giant, but there are giants that come in our life that we are like, Lord, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Regardless, we should never be afraid to face giants when God is on our side. Y'all heard me say that? When God is on our side, we should never be afraid to face giants. Another thing that I noticed in the story this time around is even though we know that God was on David's side, but the thing when he slung that 1 smooth stone, it was a perfect aim. David stepped out on faith to go up against Goliath. I think he stepped out on faith as well when he took that first stone and slung it. Do you think he was surprised when it hit Goliath right in the middle of the forehead or between the eyes? It says, do you think he was surprised? Because he had picked up 5, but it only took 1, and it was a perfect aim. And then what was interesting to me when I think about David and Goliath, David looked up. He looked up. And sometimes we don't look up. When we are dealing with things, sometimes we don't look up. We can defeat giants when we look up. I hope y'all caught that. And then, of course, I said it only took 1 smooth stone. The story of David and Goliath. So this is my Mary moment. My God conquers giants. Does your God conquer giants? I hope we're serving the same God. And if we are not, now is a perfect time for you to accept Christ, because he can conquer the giants in our life. The audacity of David and Goliath. So, what's been on my replay this week? Man, this song hit me really hard. Really, a couple of weeks ago, I was playing it, but it wasn't on my replay. But it is by Jonathan Traylor, and he's been on my replay before. You Get the Glory, and it starts off saying, "This is so heavy, and it's bringing me to my knees. And I'm crying out, Lord, I need you now to come and see about me. Don't know why this life's so hard, and why do you seem so far? But if this cup won't pass, help me to stay steadfast. Let your will be done. You get the glory from this. You get the glory from this. No matter what I have to go through in this world, as long as you get the glory from it. Listen, thank you guys for tuning in as we continue to look at some stories that we've heard all of our life, but digging in deeper and finding some things that we can continue to use from these stories that we have. Y'all have a good week.